one's fine there. A lot of it's common sense. I mean, have a general read through it, but a lot of it's quite common sense. Okay. What is the general calendar life? When is the propeller and the attaching components normally overhauled? If everything's working fine, when are they normally overhauled? How long do they stay in service for normally? How many years?
5 years.
5 years normally, yeah. If everything's okay, and it comes to manufacturing instructions, up to about 5 years. Can stay in storage for 5 years or combined 5 years storage and installation on when calendar time. Now, obviously, what could change there is the flying hours. The flying hours could be more than getting to a certain point. It's done a lot of flying, so the flying hours will win. So it might get to maybe 3 years because the flying hours have reached the maximum flying hours before that assembly has to come off. Even though it's working fine, even though there's nothing wrong with it, it needs to come off to the manufacturer and get, or yourselves, and re-overhauled, just as a precaution, okay? But if it hasn't done a lot of flying, it might just be once in a blue moon, it can pretty much stay into 5 year point, okay? All right. Apart from that, you just look at the manual, follow the manual's instructions, and keep everything happy. So just to recap, short-term storage was classed as what, up to how many months? 3 months. The long-term storage was over 3 months, yeah? What was category 1? What was category 1? I'll give you a clue. Equipment which in service operates on something or something-based oil.
Mineral based.
Or mineral based. And that's normally piston-type engines, okay? Category 2 was pretty much similar, but what type of oil?
Synthetic.
More like to be your gas turbines. Gas turbine or turboprop engines tend to use synthetic oil. Okay, so that's where you probably find synthetic oil, or lower viscosity. Don't get mixed up. Don't put the wrong oil in the wrong engine because you'll have disastrous consequences. If you mix synthetic, just go back there, guys. If you get synthetic and mineral oil mixed up, it becomes a frothy mixture. It's not a nice thing, and you'll soon know you've got it wrong. But if you put the wrong oil in the wrong engine, again, that can cause problems, and indeed for the propeller assembly. Because remember, we take a bit of oil tapping from the engine itself for the propeller. So yeah, if you remember those two in that table, page 151, F, G, and category 1 and 2, that'd be good. And then obviously we've got off-wing short-term, long-term, and on-wing long-term, short-term. Again, hopefully not too bad at all. Going backwards, as we've got the diagnostics and that sort of thing. One you might to highlight potentially is 3.3. You've got a decrease in engine speed while increasing airspeed. Potential for that is a non-fairing propeller and good old the governor valve. Okay, the governor pilot valve is stuck. Excessive one. That's one of the ones I've highlighted there. That's quite a common one. And the one on page 143, paragraph 2, hunting and surging. So look at the different effects of hunting and surging, what can cause. Okay, so let's answer something else there. So have a read through that. Don't try and remember word for word, but just the general. This is just a general background. Again, it will be more text specific for the engine propeller assembly you're working on. It's only as a general info. Okay, engine stopping procedure. How long should you let the engine stabilize before you shut the engine down? How many minutes?
2 minutes.
No, not 2. I know which one you're thinking of. So you've done everything in the engine you want to do, then you let it sit idle for how many minutes?
The idle is for 2 minutes.
No, not that one. I know which one you're thinking of. They're two very similar. Basically, you'll do this counteract it.
3 minutes or 3 minutes? 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Now, the one you think about is 2 minutes.
141.
Yeah, 141. On page 140 is if you've had the engine at high power performance, don't just shut the engine straight away. You come back to 2 minutes, let it idle, and add the carcass and tailpipe engines cool down. But basically, you're going to do at least 2 minutes before you do anything else. So if you've got a high RPM, you bring back to 2 minutes before you do anything else. Yeah, you want to check something else, any other part of the system. And then if you want to shut it down, just add an extra minute on it to make it 3 minutes. So that's the 2 minutes. If you've been at high RPM, high power performance, bring it back down to idle, let it stabilize, let the internal engine cool down to a nice suitable level for at least 2 minutes. And then eventually you want to shut down, we'll give it an extra minute, and that's your 3 minutes, okay? So yeah, it's a bit of contradiction in terms there, but it's only if you've been at high power. If you're just doing normal running, then let the engine sit at 3 minutes, okay? So if you get a question that says, if you run an engine at high RPM, how long should you let it wait? It should be 2 minutes. Now, if it gives you an answer in the exam of 1 minute, 2 minutes, and 3 minutes, well, 3 minutes is probably ideal as well. So if you do get two answers that are pretty much the same, then please put feedback in the exam, because that should not be correct. Now, occasionally some questions do pop up. We don't get to see the questions. I don't get to see the questions. But if you think there's an answer, there's two answers there, please put feedback during once you finish the exam, okay? That'll highlight any problems. That goes for any module, any module. There shouldn't be two answers like that there. It should be probably 1 minute, 2 minutes, and 30 seconds or something daft like that, okay? Normally what they'll say is, for normal operation, how long will you let the engine cool down before shutting down? Standard is 3 minutes. Only if it's been at high performance, allow 2 minutes and then 3, okay? Okay, doke. Next one. Safety precautions. How far should you be in front of a running propeller aircraft? Minimum distance.
50 feet.
50 feet. And if you're behind the aircraft,
yeah.
150. You shouldn't be behind the aircraft. But you might have to. You might be being a safety person further down the way. Okay. All right. If you're going to open the HP cock, what must you ensure? Maybe a functional check. Booster pumps are off, yeah? And how long should you wait if the engine's been running?
15 minutes.
15 minutes, yeah. And also, you think of the engine rotating, and eventually it'll slow down and stop. So how long do you wait after it stops?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, good. You've got the engine run. Which position should you also position the aircraft into?
Into wind?
To wind.
To wind, yeah. So you might get an option of into wind, tailwind, or side wind. Okay, make sure it's into wind, yeah? Again, that goes for any type of aircraft. Okay, condition lever on the aircraft. Condition has 3 positions. Some people speed lever, but it's also called condition lever. 3 positions. What are the 3 positions? So speed or
emergency
yes.
sort of low and high RPM.
Good, yeah, emergency shut off, low high and high RPM. And then above that, we've got the power lever, has 4 positions. What are the 4 positions?
Reverse, grounded, flight
Yeah.
and max.
Good. Turboprops are constant speed engines because they operate at 60%, 80%, or 100%. 100%. Pretty much 100%, yeah. And a couple more questions. We're doing a voltage drop proof check. Okay, a voltage drop proof check. Typical values for DC and AC are what? I can hear the paper move.
Yeah,
1360 volt and 960.
960 volt for
Okay,
AC.
Good. Right. If I'm carrying out an insulation resistance check, what is it? What am I doing? By an insulation.
Sorry, sir, once again.
If you're carrying out an insulation resistance check on the de-icing system, what are you carrying out?
Between brush gear and earth.
Yeah, brush gear and propeller spinner. The main thing is insulation resistance between the brush gear and earth must be checked. What you're doing is you're determining the breakdown between any heated element. If the insulation is broken down, there's a potential it can short circuit or open circuit. Okay. Before that, you'll do continuity. Continuity is basically checking you've got a full circuit. Okay. The continuity check is measurement of the resistance of the individual heated elements. Okay. The resistance values must be within the limit, but when you're doing an insulation check, you're checking if there's any breakdown. Now, if you get a question on that exam, please take your time, read the question, because the continuity resistance check and your insulation resistance check are very, very similar. All right, it's very easy to see an answer and think, oh, it's that one. So please take your time with those questions if you get a question on that one. Okay. Last one, with lunch. If I'm in a fluid de-icing system inspection, and if the system's not going to be used for a long time, what do we do to the fluid in the system?
We should check aircraft maintenance manual.
Yeah, maintenance manual. What's it going to tell you to do?
We should refill 95% of methylate spirit and 5% distilled water.
Good. Yeah. So we drain the system, the normal fluid, refill it with 95% methylated spirit and 5% distilled water, and then operate the system. Should propel turn until the tank is empty. Basically, that flushes the system out. It stops the normal de-icing stuff from being corrosive or that sort of thing. And by putting it, flushing out, we effectively dry the system out. Good. Okay, that's fine. Now, past. Okay, guys. Yeah, come back in about an hour's time, and we'll go through revision. Okay, we'll get to revision.
Okay. Okay.
And, have lunch or time for you guys to look at. Well, excuse me, I've put them on PowerPoint. So what we'll do, we'll go through them one at a time, and any problems on that we'll query and go through. There's one of the questions. I'll get you guys to change the answer on your sheet. I forgot to change it before I sent them to it, just to match what's in the book. But we'll come on to that when I get close to the time. But I'll give you a good insight onto the bits and pieces from books 1 and 2. And what we'll do, we'll just go around the class and see what we'll get thinking of. And if you get stuck in any of them, if you're not managing the questions, I mean, obviously the answers were there, but if you weren't sure why that's the answer, we'll go over that as well. Okay, so hopefully that's everybody back. I think we've got enough people there. 10, yeah, good. Okay, right, let's get this sorted. All right, that should be working now. Okay, question 1. The torque meter transmitter is usually fitted in the what? Who's going to give the answer to that one? Without looking at your answers.
Who, sir?
Say again?
Who, sir?
Anybody who's got an answer?
Reduction gear.
Reduction gearbox.
Yeah, reduction gearbox. Yeah, just where your PCU, your CSU, it all fits onto the reduction gearbox. Yeah, torque meter transmitter. Good. 2. The position of the blade master station is measured from where?
Center of hub.
Center of hub. Yeah, center of the hub. Good. And just for a bonus point, what colour would it be on the blade?
Yellow.
Yellow.
Oh, yeah, like normally. Yeah, sometimes they have them, sometimes they don't. If it doesn't have one, you just measure it from the hub. Number 3, the blade angle on the propeller is the angle between.
Angle of attack plus advance angle.
Not quite, no. It's a blade chord line and the plane of rotation. Okay, so the chord line, the blade angle is the blade chord line and the plane of rotation. So the vertical one up to the chord line. In between that, you've got your relative airflow. Yeah, so you've got your plane of rotation, which is vertical, the chord line of the blade, and then that is your blade angle. The helix angle is a bit in between that as well. Okay. We'll put a diagram up. I've given, hopefully Sanjeev's given you the printout as well. If not, I'll show you the printout, show you what I mean. Question 4. The total reaction on a propeller blade can be resolved into what?
Thrust and torque.
Yeah, thrust and torque. Yeah, so total reaction is the resultant between those. Okay, good. Number 5, the distance a propeller blade moves forward in 1 revolution when it's giving no thrust is called?
Geometric width.
Yeah, it's a theoretical what should actually happen. Okay, when there's no thrust, it should call its way 1 revolution that amount of distance in theory, but we don't get that because of aerodynamic forces. That's the geometric mean pitch, or geometric pitch as we call it. 6, during forward flight, the propeller angle of attack will vary with, or will varies with, what will make it change?
Forward speed.
Yeah. So if we increase speed, the angle decreases. If we decrease speed, the angle obviously gets increased as well. The thrust force during flight causes propeller blades to, what happened, physically happen to them?
Bend forward.
Yeah, the blades are trying to go forward, you know, because they're getting the thrust, or what we used to call lift on a wing. So they're trying to bend forward, and obviously that reaction is pulling the aircraft forward as well. So yeah, bend forwards in direction of flight. The flying weight and propeller control unit will actuate what? In other words, they will move what? What will the flyweights move? What have we got there? The what, sorry?
Slide valve.
Yeah, slide. Or the pilot control slide valve. Yeah, basically the vertical valve that moves up and down because your flyweights, as they get faster, will spin up the way and lift the valve up. Or if they get lower, because they're going lower RPM, they'll drop the valve down until they get to a neutral position where it stays as they are. Good. With a double action propeller, the on position is when what happens? With a double action propeller, the on speed position is?
Oil is trapped in front and rear of the piston.
Yeah, oil is trapped in front and rear. Basically, you've got hydraulic lock, equal pressure in the front, equal pressure in the back. It's balanced up. The flyweights will be pretty much even, and yeah, we're in the on position. We're good to go. Yeah, it's happy. It's waiting for a change in forward speed, a change in RPM, etc. Number 10, the purpose of the oil booster oil pump as part of the governor in a CSU is to do what?
Unfeather the blade.
Provide enough oil force to propeller blades into coarse pitch or feather pitch, yeah. Okay. The next, the booster. In a double acting variable pitch propeller, the feathering pump supplies. What does it supply?
Supply oil pressure.
Yeah, oil pressure to drive the propeller into and out of feather. Now, the pump itself doesn't supply the pressure, it supplies the flow. And your pressure is the resistance to flow, which is your pipe works associated with that. But yeah, we can call it pressure in a way, just for general purpose, okay? Negative torque will occur on a propeller blade when
angle of attack is negative.
Yeah, strange enough, as it says on the question. Sometimes the clue is in the question. The angle of attack has to be negative. Number 13, small stone damage to a propeller blade would affect what?
Integrity.
Yeah, structural integrity, yeah. Any small stone damage, well, that's going to weak point. Yeah, a weak point can possibly lead to a crack, and if there's a crack, very detrimental to the structural integrity. When a propeller is said to have torque, it means it has what?
Is
Resistance.
For the
See, this is the hardest way to do it. Without the answers there, A, B, C, it's the harder way to do it. When it comes to an exam, if you can think, if it comes to
push.
Yeah, read the question, think of an answer, and then look at the options you've got. And if one of your options match what you're thinking about, hopefully that's the right answer. So basically, we've got torque. Well, what is torque? Torque's the twisting moment, isn't it? So the turning moment force produced by propeller about the axis of rotation. We're getting torque, the rotation of the propeller, against the rotation of the axis of the engine. Okay, that's your twisting moment. All right, that's your torque. That's where we get torque from. 15, the power absorption of a propeller may be increased. There's a few methods, a lot of things we can do here. Again, I've got one of the few options here. What do we think? How do we increase power absorption?
Increase number of bullet.
Yeah, that's one of them.
And the chord line, increasing chord line.
Yeah, the width of the blade, yeah. So increasing the camber and or the number or the width of the blades, the number and or width of the blade. So quite a few things there. Again, they'll give you some options for examples, but again, that's what you're looking for there. In other words, increasing solidity of the blade. 16, nickel sheaths are sometimes fitted to provide what?
Protection.
Yeah, erosion protection, yeah. Erosion protection, yeah, because the leading edge, it's at the forefront, it's going through the air, it's getting friction. It could hit hail, rain, or maybe sandy type air, so a bit of erosion on there. So it helps protect erosion. They can be replaced, and that saves the propeller. 17, some propellers are fitted with accumulators, and what's the purpose of those?
For the purpose of unfeathering.
Yeah, when we do have a low RPM, unfeathering the propeller. Yeah, good. 18, the angle of attack is the angle between the...
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
Chord line and relative flow.
You won't see that answer, you won't see easy peasy in the exam.
Chord line and relative flow,
Yeah, chord line and relative airflow, yeah. Chord line and the RAF, or relative airflow, good. Easy peasy. 19, to obtain the very high power required at commencement of the takeoff run, the propeller is set at what angle?
Fine pitch.
Is that something just starts in the wall?
And max RPM.
Yeah. Fine pitch position, allow the engine to attain maximum RPM. Yeah, so it can cut through the air nice and easy. If it's at a high angle, well, it's going to be a lot of pressure trying to get through the air, so we cut it to the fine. We get maximum torque, maximum power means we can take off quite quickly as well. 20, if the engine RPM is to remain constant on an engine fitted with a variable pitch propeller, an increase in engine power requires... So think about the pitch.
Increase the blade angle.
Okay. Yeah, same again, increase the blade angle. So if we increase the power and want to maintain that same RPM, well, if we leave the blade angle at a very fine pitch, it's going to go spin. It's going to spin through the air a lot quicker. So by increasing the angle of attack, that'll put a bit more load on the propeller, which will maintain that constant RPM. Good. 21, when RPM increases above the value for which a governor is set, the pitch change mechanism turns the blades to where?
It's coarse angle.
Yeah. A higher angle or a coarser angle, yeah. Increasing the load on the engine, just what we sort of described already. Good. To the most effective section of the propeller blade is, think of measurements.
2/3 or 3/4.
Yeah, 2/3 to 3/4 from the root. Yeah. If the Boolean check on a spined shaft propeller displays less than 80%, then it may be corrected by doing what? This is what we just covered today.
Honing.
Yeah.
Page number 127.
Honing, yeah. So yeah, the cone face of the rear cone, or we can shim the front cone. Yeah. It's done. Yeah, rubbing it down a little surface plate. 24. The selected RPM has been achieved. The forces in the CSU,
spring force,
centrifugal, and what was it? Sorry,
Spring force.
Spring force, yeah. We've got the pressure trying to push against the spring, and the spring's trying to push against the oil pressure, but it's happy. We've got the spring force all hunky-dory. 25. On a wing, storage of a propeller will require the propeller to be exercised so that it eliminates the need to do what? So it's on the wing. We're exercising. What does it eliminate? In other words, what do we not need to do?
Oil system and component.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. Inhibit the propeller. We don't need to inhibit the propeller because it's self-contained. As long as the engine is still working and we can run the engine, we can exercise the piston of the pitch change mechanism. Okay, exercise the blades, and that will maintain it and will help prevent corrosion. 26. When an aircraft with a fixed pitch propeller increases forward speed, the angle of attack will
Decrease.
decrease. Yeah, so the aircraft's catching up with the relative airflow, so it will decrease. Again, these sort of questions will definitely be some sort of wording, obviously, in the exam, guaranteed. Easy peasy ones, points won or lost. Now, 27, the function of a variable pitch propeller is to do what? Again, it's hard to see without the rest of the answers, but hopefully you can figure it out.
Obtain the most efficient
Yeah.
performance
Obtain
from engine.
Yeah, obtain most efficient engine performance for the varying conditions, altitude, speed, etc., which is maintain the optimum angle of attack and effect. 8. Kevlar may be used to reinforce composite blades in a what?
Leading edge and trailing edge with unidirectional.
That's right, yeah. In a unidirectional layer, so crisscrossing pattern, you've got one going that way, one going that way, crisscrossing pattern at the leading and trailing edges. Good. 29. Centrifugal twisting moment is the tendency of the blade to turn. So you get the CTM moment.
Low pitch angle or fine pitch angle.
Yeah, or towards the fine pitch, yeah. So fine pitch position, so think CTM fine, ATM will be coarse.
It's
yeah?
coarse, yeah.
Good. 30. When exercising propeller on wing, the operation of the fairing pump should not exceed, I think of timings.
Just 2 minutes.
There you go, you got the first part. 2 minutes and only 13 minutes. Now, as I said before, they might give you examples. They might say 2 minutes and 30 seconds or 1 minute in, whatever sort of thing, some sort of random questions. Okay, so yeah, 2 minutes in any 30-minute cycle. Okay, so if you have running it for 2 minutes, it continues in 30 minutes, you've got to let it cool down and wait again. Okay, otherwise you'll just overheat it. 31. The solidity of a propeller is
Blade area over disc area.
good. Simple thing, ratio between the total blade area and the propeller disc area. Okay. So the lower the ratio number, the more propellers.
Sir, on book we have disc area by blade area.
Yeah, well, that's the ratio. It means the same thing. That's the ratio. It means the same thing. Okay. 32. A double-acting variable pitch propeller is one which the pitch is increased and decreased by what?
Oil pressure.
Yeah. Simple as that. We've got oil pressure one side of the piston and oil pressure the other side of the piston. And depending on which way the valve moves up and down, we'll direct the oil flow to the front or the back to move it forwards and backwards. 33. The DTI, the dial test indicator, result from a concentricity run check should be recorded as. Now, in the book, we've got it, you add a weight. On the question here, the answer, it says it without a weight, okay? But if you change your answer to this one, I meant to change it myself. So in the book, you'll add the weight to the front to take up the slack in the shaft, because the shaft will move a little bit because you've taken the propeller blade off. So the shaft of the engine will try and go up. So by putting a weight on, you'll spin it, take a reading, and then what should you do once you've got the reading? So you get a reading in one position, do another position, take a reading, and then what do you do with that reading you've been given? Do you multiply it or half it?
Half it.
Half it, yeah. Now, your answer that came in the one I've given you, meant to change it before I sent it out, but I do apologise. It says double the actual reading. Well, it's not. Only if there's no weight applied. If you leave the propeller as it is without a weight, you'll get a reading, but a small reading, so then you'd have to double it. But by adding a weight as it is in the book, you would half the reading. Okay, so if you want to change that answer to add a weight and then half the reading, okay? If you don't put a weight on the end of the shaft, then you double the reading, okay? Because you have a smaller reading. Does that make sense? Because imagine the shaft without a weight on it, okay, it's going to move up a little bit. So when you put your DTI up there, it will get a very small reading. But when we put the weight on, we bring the shaft down, we'll get a larger reading, but then we half it, okay? So just not to confuse you, if you want to change your answer to half the reading, provided there is a weight on it, I've just put it there as double the actual reading if there's no weight applied to the front of the shaft, okay? Because when the assembly comes off, the shaft will try and go up the way because it's got a big turbine stuck at the back of it, so it's going to try and lift the shaft up. That's why we put a weight on the front, take a reading, then half of it, okay? I want to change the answer on that question there, but as long as you understand the concept there, that's fine. So the answer in the book would be half the weight of the reading. 34, don't forget when ground running a single engine turboprop aircraft, the torque pressure recorded should always be what?
Above minimum.
Yeah, above the minimum acceptable figure. Yeah, good. 5, if a fluid de-icing system is not used for a long period, the system should be, it's what I covered this morning.
Yeah, flush with methylated spirit and water mix.
Yeah, what's the percentage?
95.
95% and
yeah, we don't have on this one, but yeah, it was just for a bonus point. Drain flushed with methylated spirit, I should put it on there, 95% and a 5% distilled water, not just normal water. I should put in the answer. You want to amend your answers, make it distilled water mix, and then we'll leave it empty. Basically, it flushes it out, cleans it out, and dries it out. 36, when the CSU in the underspeed condition, oil will be directed to where? So imagine that the weights have gone down for underspeed condition. So the oil is going to be directed to do what?
To decrease the blade angle.
Yeah, to make a smaller angle of attack, yeah. So decrease the angle, good. That would be a double acting one, obviously. The geometric pitch of a rotating propeller is the
effective pitch plus slip.
Yeah, slip plus the effective pitch, yeah. Slip plus the effective pitch. That's the geometric. In other words, the theory where it should go. Unfortunately, there's always a little bit of slip, and you might have to do a calculation. So if you make a note in your books of who did the calculation for how to calculate slip, you might get asked that in an exam, possibly. It will be easy numbers to play with. Okay, it'll be very easy numbers to play with. Is that one? I forgot to change that question. Why did I miss that one out? My fault. Okay, 39. An automatic fairing system would normally be actuated by the what, sorry? So what's going to move an automatic fairing system?
Torque meter.
Yeah, torque meter system, good. 40, a centrifugal fairing stop will prevent the propeller doing what?
Feathering.
Yeah, strange enough, feathering after normal engine shutdown. One, a controllable propeller makes it possible for the pilot to do what?
To change the blade angle.
Yeah, simple as that. Change the blade angle. 42, if vibration is experienced during the initial ground run of an engine with a splined shaft propeller, the first remedial action should be to do what? What would you check first?
Hub nut.
Yeah. Check it, make it retighten or torque the hub retain nut after obviously the engine's cooled down, because thermal expansion can change the size of it. So let it cool down first. Obviously, it'll be quite warm to touch. Yeah, retorque it, and if it's torque's fine, half days. But remember, you've got the rear cone and the front cone, and they sometimes need to bed in a little bit, especially if it's been a new propeller put on there. If it's still slack, for some reason, it might go tight, but again, you might have to check the cones. You might have to shim the cones or hone the cones as well. 43, when the engine is running, the CSU is continually sensing what? What's the CSU sensing?
Engine RPM.
RPM, it needs to know what's going on, yeah. And obviously the flyweights in there will be sensing that, okay. To obtain full power during takeoff, the blades are placed in what position?
Yeah,
Fine
pitch. Yeah, fine pitch or low angle of attack, yeah. Again, the answers might give you fine pitch, force pitch, and some sort of random name. 45, the normal tendency of a propeller blade when it is rotating is to go into what position?
and position.
A fine pitch, if not equipped with counterweights. Now the counterweights on the back, they help it go to a coarser pitch just by the centrifugal action. Okay, centrifugal counterweights as we call them. So without those, it will tend to go in a fine pitch. Okay, so your CTM moment. So those weights which are off the axis help throw the blade back out again. All in conjunction with the oil pressure. 46, the centrifugal latch locks on a single acting propeller are fitted to prevent the blades moving to where?
To feeder position. Oh.
Yeah. Propeller, yeah. When the engine is shut down and not running. Good. 7, the most common method by which the propeller is exercised is to do what? So how would you exercise
Need option for this answer.
I'll think about it. How's the most common method? What's the easiest way to exercise the blades? I know it's hard without the answer's been there. Okay, I'll put you in misery. Move the pitch control from fully fine to fully coarse at least twice and check that RPM is the same when fully fine. Yeah. So in other words, engine running, fully forward, fully back, fully forward, fully back, and so on. I think in the book it says 4 to 5 times. But yeah, at least a minimum until you feel that it has got rid of the air, if you put a new system on, or you're just exercising it for storage purposes. Okay, so pitch control, fully fine, fully coarse, at least twice minimum. Centrifugal turning motion will tend to do what? Again, it's just a recap of the question I had earlier. Turn it to what position?
Fine pitch.
Yeah, decrease the propeller angle or make it a fine position. Yeah, so just different terminologies. 49, the propeller control manual phase selection knob is usually found on the what panel?
In cockpit synchronization panel.
Yeah, phaser, or yeah, synchrophaser panel, and is used to select the idle phase angle. Remember, we'll set the synchronization up first, which is the master RPM is set, and then the slave engines will then meet the same RPM. Once you've got that, then we move when the blade angles out. How it does that is it will either slow down the RPM to move the angle and then catch the RPM up, but by the time it's moved down, the angle of the blade is out of the way. Okay, and then once it's set, it will stay in that position. And you can physically move that control knob to move the angle of the blades as they go back and forward. Not the pitch angle, it's just the position where the blades start and stop. Yeah. 50, for takeoff, the propeller control is usually set in what position?
Fully forward.
Fully forward, yeah. So fine position, yeah. 51, synchrophasing will set the blades of propellers at the correct angle to do what?
To maintaining the same RPM.
Same RPM, yeah.
Page number 75.
Yeah. 52, the blades of a propeller are usually electrically de-iced by electric
Heating element.
Yeah, heating elements that are underneath the rubber boots on leading edges of the blades. Okay, and then remember your cycles, your fast cycle and your slow cycles. When the propeller blades are moved from the reverse pitch to flight normal, they move through the what position?
Ground fine pitch.
Ground fine, yeah. Ground fine pitch, good. Okay. 54, a load meter is used to indicate the operation of a propeller, what?
Electrical de-icing system.
Yeah. De-icing system. Remember, if you've got one, you might just have one gauge for maybe a twin engine aircraft, but certainly for 4 engines, they probably have 4 gauges. And remember, when the anti-icing or de-icing system is activated, how many gauges out of those 4 will you see activated at any one time? Will you see them all activated, 2 activated, or just 1 activated?
Only one.
Yeah, it's only 1. There should only be 1 propel assembly have a load indicated on the indicator, okay? And it will alternate between the engines. Yeah?
It will be sequencing.
Yeah, that's right, you're sequencing. And you'll have a null period when there's nothing at all. So there'll be 1 indicating with the current load. Now, obviously, that can indication may be a fault because they should all, when they get switched on, they should all, every time you see the indicator come on, it should be the same, pretty much the same reading for the current on the indicator. So if you start seeing one that's a bit lower or a bit higher, certainly the higher one, or you've got a lot more resistance, then maybe the pump starting to fail. So that could give you a bit of diagnostics as well. But it should only be 1 gauge working with the null period in between. Okay. 55, to feather a double-acting propeller, the oil pressure is normally supplied by what?
Oil pump.
An auxiliary electrical driven oil pump, yeah. The counterweights on a typical single acting propeller will act against the what movement?
CTM.
CTM, yeah. 57. When checking for correct assembly and squareness of the propeller shaft cones, you should do what?
Blue checking.
Smear engineer's blue to the front and the rear hub of seating. And remember, when you put it on, tighten it down hand tight, rotate it 1 revolution, take it back off, and how much should come away? It should be a minimum of what percentage? What percentage should it be? You don't want to see all the blue. A lot of the blue should come off. Should be a minimum of, anybody remember a percentage?
80%. 80%.
80%. Okay, so the blue will come on, and you paint it on, you'll rotate the blade once, take it off, and if it's still blue, well, that's not good. It means it's not contacting at all. So again, shimming it or rubbing it down. Rub it again, and put some blue back on, spin the propeller, and then hopefully at least 80% of that blue has come back off. Okay. Synchronization systems usually allocate the master engine as in what position?
Is left engine 1.
Yeah, left hand, usually number 1 position. Certainly a twin engine would be number 1, which is the inboard engine. On maybe a 4 engine aircraft, they might allocate that to the number 2 engine.
Number 2 or 3.
Yeah, okay, 2 or 3. But again, a master, you can select whichever engine you want. And obviously, if you have an engine failure in flight, what's going to happen if a master engine fails in flight? What could happen to the other slave engines?
All the slaves angle will follow the master.
Yeah, the revs will probably either try and catch up thereabouts. 59, during synchronization operation, there we go. So just sort of preempt it there for you. Failure of the master engine can result in slave engines. Quickly said, they will try and match whatever the master engine was doing. Okay. Transfer electrical power to the propeller. Dyson equipment. There is a what? Yeah, brush block mounted on the engine front case, which transfers power via a slip ring. Okay. On a fluid de-icing system, the check valve is normally located between the pump and the sling around feed tube, which will prevent or stop what's happening.
To prevent the draw of fluid.
Yeah, in other words, siphoning. Have you ever tried it? Have you ever taken sort of fluid out of a tub, or hopefully not of a car? But you get a tube, put in the fuel tank, suck a little bit, and then it will, through gravity, it will keep going, and just by the momentum of the fluid, it will suck the fluid back out of the tank. Well, it's same as a de-icing system. Once the fluid's moving, unless you put a check valve in there, it will just empty the tank out. It'll certainly stop your aircraft from icing up, but you're going to lose all your fluid very quickly. So have a little check valve in there just to stop it.
And so evaporating, prevent evaporating too.
That's right as well, yeah, definitely. Okay, so siphon fluid in flight when the system isn't operating. We don't want to empty itself out. 62, how is the centrifugal turning moment corrected or motion corrected?
Counterweight.
Counterweights, yeah. So they're off the axis of the rotation. So counterweight assembly is attached to the blade, ferrules outboard of the retaining ring and forward of the cambered base. There we go. So just a short selection without the ABC. It's always harder. Yes, I've given the answers there as well. It's always harder to try and come up with an answer. What we do here back at AST, we give some students, we take them one-on-one. I'll take it individually and we'll go into the hangar and I'll show you all the equipment and I'll get to ask you questions and they have to answer the questions back, and that's part of their test now. So when it comes to do their theory test, they'll have the ABC answer. So hopefully, like for you guys as well, when you go to do your theory test, you'll think of an answer first to the question, then look at your answers that are on the paper, and then see which one's closest. Again, there might be one or two, but oh, that'd be quite close. But take your time, read the question, think of an answer, and then find the one that's closest. Or you might recognise it straight away. But make sure you read the answers. Good. Okay, what we'll do is we'll have an early break there, and then we'll come back and we'll just finish off going through the book, and you can decide any parts you want to go through. Okay, so that's the end of the revision questions as such. But we'll have an early break now. Come back in 15 minutes, about 1:15, and then we'll probably finish a bit earlier today. Any questions you have? I'll see if there's any more questions I want to fire through, make sure I think there's anything to cover, but then it'll be up to you guys to decide if there's anything else you want. So you'll probably finish a bit earlier today. I'll get you ready for exam on